I was in the military 8.5 years, and I was gone for over about almost 5 of those years away from my home, my bed, my family, my wife, and then my children when they started coming around. So that was a season for me, and I was like, something has to change. I cannot keep going down this path. And there was starting to be some marriage friction, and I was actually on my second marriage now at this point. I know it's hard to sustain a happy marriage with children when you're always gone.
Yeah.
So I had a huge why, and I was searching for answers on podcasts just like this, like Living Off Your Rentals podcast, because I surely wasn't doing as good of a job as you were with my rentals. I had rental properties, but as I told you earlier before you hit the record button, my rental properties were costing me money each month. So it's not like I could live off of them. But so I was searching for answers, listening to the 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss, and listening to podcasts every time I was in my car. My car was like a mobile university. If I was driving, I was either going to be doing a deal over the phone, or I was going to be listening to something that would just educate me. No music for many years there. And I still really don't listen to music very often unless it's with my kids. So I heard a guy on a podcast just talking about buying vacant raw land. And I was like, there's no way it could be that easy. Yeah. That can't be that easy. But if it is, I'm going to put it to the test tonight, because I had bought several houses. And at that time I had actually cut my teeth on Airbnb as well, because the military would send me away for like 6 months at a time. So I would talk my wife into letting us Airbnb our house out, like during 2015 time frame.
Nice.
We were making good money doing that, but it wasn't sustainable. It's weird when you got to like let people stay at your house, your clothes are in the closet. Like that was starting to get weird with kids. So we stopped that, but I immediately started sending letters to landowners, and the deals started stacking up, and we kept doing the deals and perfecting it. I made a ton of mistakes. And here I am, many years later, still perfecting that business.
That's amazing. That's awesome. And it goes to show you, like, you can just, take action and try different things and see what sticks in a lot of cases. And then you just work on improving it over time. So how does this work though? Like, it seems like with land, there's no tenant paying you. And so, I was looking at your website here at the landsharks.com, which is an awesome name, by the way. So you can check out the website. But it says that, the headline is generate passive income through vacant land. And so I always think of land investing as active income. It's like house flipping, like you're buying and selling. So how is it passive income? How does the model work?
Yeah, that's a great point. And that's why there's virtually no competition yet in this business, is because most people drive by land every day and they're like, okay, there's no house on it. There's no house I can flip or renovate or wholesale or rent out and get a tenant paying income. But keep it simple. I buy land at discounts and I sell it for more. And usually my preferred method, doesn't happen 100% of the time, is I try and sell this stuff with seller financing. I want someone to make payments to me for a very long time on one deal. And that's got me off of the hamster wheel, because I don't want to I don't want to get paid good money today on a land deal or a house or whatever, and then have to go do another one tomorrow. I want the checks to keep coming in. We're not getting checks anymore. It goes directly into the bank account. There's mailbox money is an old thing. We don't do that anymore. But so for instance, I'll give you an example of one. It's a really simple deal that we did very, very recently, but we bought the land for $40,000, and we got a purchase agreement that allowed us to market for our buyer before we closed on the property. So we found the buyer for $90,000 that could only do a $5,000 down payment, but he can pay up to $958 a month. So we gave him a mortgage for 13 and a half years, $958 a month. He paid me $5,000 down, and I used my lender to buy the land for $40,000. The lender was, I'm not going to mention a name. I use a bunch of regular people that work with me on real estate deals that want to earn 9, 10, 11, 12% secured by real estate. So this particular one, and I've used a lot of my own cash on these deals. It's way better to do it with lenders because it allows your bank accounts to keep growing rather than doing the roller coaster thing. Every time I buy a piece of land, my bank account would go down. And that got to where this is not a real business. This is me, just my bank account's like a yo-yo. And that was keeping me up at night. So my whole mission is like, how do I sleep well at night while blessing my family and others? So my lender came to the table with all $40,000. I'm paying them 9% interest for the next 5 years, fully amortized. Their payment's $800 a month at 9% interest on $40,000.
Okay.
And so I got $5,000. I put that right in my pocket. So I made money up front. I'm keeping the difference of $958 minus $800. So I keep $158 a month for the next 60 months. And then after that, my lender's paid off. I'll put their money back to work on another deal, hopefully. And I'll keep the whole $958 a month. So the first payday was $500. The next 60 months is $158. So that works out to about $9,700 over the next 5 years. And then after that's paid off, I'll keep $958 a month. So that works out to a little over $115,000 on that one land deal that I don't have a penny of my own money. And I do those over and over and over. Sometimes the sellers finance me too. Sometimes the sellers are the bank for me. And I'll do the same thing. And then sometimes the sellers are like, no, I need money. I need all the cash. So we come up with a cash deal. We usually get a better deal that way. And then we'll list it on the MLS with a realtor. And sometimes builders and developers come in and they just write a check. And we don't get the seller financing. So there's no passive income, but there's usually a pretty good payday.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even if you had sold that one, you found it for 40 the next day, or 6 months later, you sold it for 90, was it 94 or 96,000?
90,000.
Yeah. So, I mean, $50,000 spread right there without doing anything. But then the financing makes it even sweeter on top of that, because, you know, you don't have to bring any of the money to the table, and it pays you even more than that over time. So that is, that's awesome. So essentially, your business is sort of the middleman between people who want to sell property, just unload them for one reason or another, typically at a discount, and then people who want to buy properties but they can't afford them. And so you're helping marry those two parties up, basically.
Yeah, because Americans think, how much is it going to cost me each month? So that gives me a massive buyer's pool of land buyers. I mean, I'm talking to you, like you have over a 40-acre farm, 40-plus acre farm. Like you're my avatar. Like people ask, who buys that kind of land? You do, Kirby.
Yeah,
and imagine if I made it easy for you to pay me monthly payments every single month. A friend of mine said, hey, what if that guy pays you off early? And I was like, he's like, does he have a prepayment penalty? I was like, heck no. I hope they pay me off early because I don't have to wait 13 and a half years to make my $100,000. I can get 50 grand today and just return that money, pay off my lender, put their money to work. I'll have an extra 50 grand in my account as well. It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in a Facebook group called Indiana Homesteaders, and it's a big group, and there are people constantly looking for land. But the big trouble is the financing side of it. It's, banks don't want to touch it. So
Indiana Homesteader. I sell a lot of this land on Facebook too. Groups.
What's that?
That's where I sell a lot of this land.
I was going to ask you that.
Facebook groups, Facebook marketplaces, Indiana Homesteaders. That's amazing. That's a good tip.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great group. Super active, and not a lot of spam and stuff like that. I've learned a lot about homesteading from that group, but there's constant people are posting, either land deals or homesteads that they have with a house on it, but there's so many comments then because so many people are looking all the time, but offering the financing with it, it seems like it would be a never-ending stream of demand, because that's the hardest part of it. Banks just don't want to touch it because it's a non-performing asset in their minds. So how do you find the land, and then how do you find the buyer? I guess we just talked about how some of the ways you find buyers for the land, but what's the two main strategies you use?
Yeah, there's been an evolution in how I find the land. I used to mail the tax delinquent list. Like I would mail county held tax lien lists and county held tax delinquent lists, or the county tax delinquent list, and I would buy it from people behind on their taxes, out of state. They haven't seen it in 5 years, but those are small lists and they're pain in the butts to get. It's gotten way easier. We go to Redfin. Go to Redfin and figure out where the land's selling. Once you figure out where the land's selling, you figure out what it's selling for, how much per acre, how much per square foot, and you could pull a list. I like PropStream. Have you ever used PropStream?
I haven't. I've heard of it so many times, but I don't do a ton of off-market marketing.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a 7-day free trial. You can start pulling a list today with what I'm sharing, but just go to the landsharkslist.com, get a 7-day free trial. So you go on Redfin, figure out where that land's selling, and then go to PropStream, pull that list. They'll let you pull up to 50 records for free and mail that list a simple postcard saying, hey, I'd like to buy your land at 123 Main Street. Call me or text me if you're interested in selling for a fair price, all cash. God bless you. Now, I've taken it to the next level. I like to send them what's called a land offer letter or a purchase agreement. An LOL is what I call it, land offer letter. And they sign it and send it back. When they do, I know I got a deal. Like I got a smoking hot deal. And that's the whole method. We have a system that basically we go in, find the demand, we pull that list, we mail it. We send about 80 a day, 80 to 85 a day. Works out to about, I don't know, 2,000 a month consistently. And that brings in a pretty good trickle of deal flow.
Nice. And how much is it to send one of those?
It's about 80 cents for the letter. If you send a postcard, it's a little over 50 cents.
Okay. So man, you're spending, I mean, less than $2,000 then, maybe closer to $1,000 a month, in marketing. That's not, not a huge marketing budget to have consistent deal flow. That's pretty.
Yeah. And I've been doing it for a while. It takes a little while sometimes to get the plane off the ground. Like that. Some people I see do a deal in 30 days, and some I see it takes them a few months to do that. But it's all about getting that pump prime. That old red farmhouse pump. You got to put something in to get something out. You got to put a little water in there, prime it, pump it, and eventually, when water starts coming out, you can slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. We're kind of on the maintain level.
Got it. Okay. And so once they call you or they sign the LOL and send it back, what's your process from there to know what you can offer? Do you actually visit the land? I mean, what's your process for actually then knowing, this is a good deal?
Yeah, so they've already signed my offer letter, and that's usually what I can pay. Now, sometimes the math's off. Sometimes I mess that up. It happens. So what I'll do is I'll go back on Redfin, see what they're selling for, or we'll figure out the land sales specialist real estate agent in that area. We'll send them out there, get boots on ground. I'm not going and visiting all this land. And then we'll have that realtor walk it. They'll give us a 30-day blowout price, like the get her done now price. Like, we don't want this land sitting on the MLS for 6 months. If it's sitting there for more than 30 days, you're fired. Basically. We need to know that price because we got to get it for less than that so we can make a profit. And then sometimes there's renegotiation, and I shouldn't say sometimes. There's always renegotiation. Whether we get it lower or not, we always ask for a better price because, one, you don't want that seller to have seller's remorse and think they left a bunch of money on the table. And two, the better deal you get for this land, the easier it's going to be to sell it. Because I see a lot of people struggle in the real estate business when they buy and sell. It's because they paid too much. They get it under contract for too much. Now, my rentals, I said, you know what? I got time on my side. I bought my first one at 21. I've got time on my side. Time really cures a lot of things, especially in the real estate business.
Very forgiving.